We got all our doctors bought and paid for. Now their number one job is to make us sick. So with the new drugs we got in our culture, people becoming mindless zombies, no longer full sentient human beings. This is what spirituality looks like in 2022. This is the strength of a flourishing culture. A culture who will never fight back against tyranny. We would need a strong youth. Do these people look like they're going to stand up? This psychological operation has been in the works for many, many decades. If they can weaken us, they can get away with what they're getting away with. As morality increases in a culture, freedom increases. As morality decreases, freedom decreases. We have a whole new transhuman man out there. A neurotic, constantly obsessed over invisible germs. The people who founded this country were cannabis-growing, whiskey-drinking, tax-evading domestic terrorists who hung the tarred and feathered the lawmakers that got out of line.
Here you go, here it is! Here it is, ladies and gentlemen! The flag!
This is in New York, once the greatest city in the world. In a matter of 2 years, totally destroyed. And look at these order-following cops. He's gonna dance on the flag. How is that okay? How is that acceptable? To save somebody who didn't have a passport. Look at our capital, now surrounded by a concrete wall. Klaus is gonna explain it to you.
Pivotal moment. I see several priorities for the global agenda. We must continue to fight against the global pandemic. We must revitalize the global economy and accelerate its transition to net zero. We must preserve biodiversity by deploying nature-based solutions, and we must narrow the gap between the rich and the poor to achieve more sustainable global development. With this goal,
The way they're going to narrow the gap between rich and poor is everybody will be poor, except for a 0.1% of the ruling oligarchy. While they weaken our immune system through the great culling, which we are undergoing now, and consolidation. We will make you sick, and we will charge you to keep you sick. Is this what the future is going to look like in 2025? Some alarming photos taken from a microscope of the zombie juice. Looks like a router. Signs of heart attacks everywhere. Normalizing people dropping like flies, like this Brazilian soccer player. And now the tennis players, they want to get in on the action. And we're just supposed to ignore this, pretend like it's not happening. People are dropping everywhere. Be a conspiracy theorist. It's not happening. The limits of tyrants are prescribed to the endurance of whom they oppress. I'd say our limits are pretty high, but this guy's got some inspiration.
Evil is powerless if the good are unafraid. Well, you and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness. We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose this war, and in so doing lose this great way of freedom of ours, history will report with the greatest astonishment that those that had the most to lose did the least to prevent it from happening. Well, I think it's high time now that we ask ourselves if we still even know the freedoms that were intended for us by our founding fathers. Every generation of Americans needs to know that freedom exists, not to do what you like, but having the right to do what you ought. You weren't made to fit in, my brothers and sisters. You are born to stand out. Set yourself apart from this corrupt generation. Be saints. God bless you.
There's going to be no escaping this. Might as well stand up now, before they start throwing us into camps.
We're protesting the vaccine.
The Canadian truckers are standing up. If Canada could stand up, I think it's within the possibility of Americans to stand up. But who knows? Psychological war here is at peak. The situation in Berlin is reaching a flashpoint. How much harder can they push to get this great reset? Well, they'll either take us to the brink of collapse or to take us to full collapse. That way they can build back better. Their problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem. They create the solution. I don't think we're going to get out of the CBDC, but we can fight to not be force injected, have our children murdered on a whim. The doctors, nurses, hospitals running the scam should be punished. Good for the German people. They know what tyranny looks like.
Ich weiß, die Polizei lassen vorne keinen durch, deswegen geht es links, rechts, links, rechts.
Been down this road not too long ago. They recognized the signs, the patterns of authoritarianism. We really don't have anything to lose, as we are all debt slaves. If we do nothing, they will keep going. Even if we stand up, they might keep going. But at least we should not make it easy for them, for their global reset. There is no more justice, no more morality. It's only survival of our species. Would you stand up for the survival of your species? For humanity? For all your children's children to come? Or are you going to lay down and let the boot stamp you out forever?